Hey guys, I'm the Comics Kid 2099, and once again this week I'm doing another Hulk book, this time Hulk Dead Like Me. This is volume 7 in Bruce Jones's run on the Incredible Hulk from the early 2000s. And I would suggest if you haven't seen my other reviews this week, go watch those before you listen to this one. This book collects, issues 66 through 69 of The Incredible Hulk, and then a 2-issue miniseries called Hulk Smash, written by Garth Ennis and drawn by John McCrea. And if you have read the Hitman series from the 1990s, both of those guys worked on that series. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about that first. I thought, when I saw that this collected some stuff that was not by Bruce Jones, I thought this was going to be another situation, kind of like the 4-issue Banner miniseries, written by Brian Azzarello and drawn by Richard Corbin, which, if you will recall, that was collected in the big hardcover that collects the first 2 arcs of Bruce Jones's run. And my problem with that was that it was a fine story if it had been separate, if it had been collected separately from the rest of the stuff. If I saw it just by itself somewhere, I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more. But the problem was, it was being collected with 2 arcs from Bruce Jones, and ultimately it felt very completely different. And that's because it was by a completely different creative team. But also, it was just an entirely different kind of story, and you had a couple of the same characters just being written entirely differently. And so in a way it felt like if you have a movie where the first 2/3 are directed by one director, and then a different director comes in and directs the last third, and he just has a different style. And it felt a lot like that, and I was afraid that we were going to have that here with this miniseries. And ultimately, I'm going to say I think that this is a little bit better than the Banner miniseries. For one, Hulk is not our protagonist here. It is a soldier. I don't remember his name. It's like Mitchell something. Mitchell is his last name. And basically, he is part of a large group of soldiers that were sent out in the middle of New Mexico to go attack the Hulk. And they don't know who they are going to attack. They just know that they're going out there to attack something. And it's the Hulk. And then he goes and breaks ranks and runs away. And it turns out he's an officer, and he had people under him. And I don't know a whole lot about military ranking and stuff like that, but the book does go out of its way to explain he was an officer. There were men who worked under him, and then another guy, another officer, he's basically chewing him out saying, listen, you had people whose lives depended on you being able to lead, and you folded and you ran away. And basically this is his story. This is him kind of redeeming himself. And I won't go too much more into it. There is a minor inconsistency with the Bruce Jones stuff that's going on here. The Bruce Jones stuff in this run, the Hulk is basically... for the first 2 arcs, we really don't see a whole lot of the Hulk. And when we do, he doesn't talk. He's just a mindless force of nature. And then, out of nowhere, I don't remember exactly what point it was, but basically the Hulk started having Bruce Banner's intelligence, which this is nothing new with the Hulk. That was a big thing during Peter David's run on the series in the 80s. And that was going on during Bruce Jones's run. Well, in this 2-issue in the Banner miniseries by Azzarello, as well as the Hulk Smash miniseries by Garth Ennis, Hulk is treated like, the big toddler who can't keep his temper under control and just has super strength. That's basically how he's written in those miniseries, and that's part of the reason why it feels a little inconsistent with everything else that's going on here. But I do think this is better written than the Banner miniseries. I think that if this had been collected, say, a few years earlier, when the Hulk was more of a savage monster who had the intellect of about a 5-year-old, then I think this would have been perfect. But it's collected at a time when the Hulk had intelligence, and so it does feel a little inconsistent, but I think I was able to stomach it a little better than the Banner miniseries that was collected in the first hardcover. That's about all I have to say about that. The rest of the book is written by Bruce Jones still, and Mike Deodato, as you can see here, he does the covers, but then he's not the artist on the interiors. The interiors is a penciler named Dougie Braithwaite. I don't know who he is, but his art is very good. It's not exactly like Deodato, but it does feel like he's trying to mimic Deodato. That's his artwork. It feels very much like he's trying to be like Deodato, which maybe he wanted to do that because the rest of a large portion of this run with Bruce Jones was by Deodato, so maybe he was thinking, okay, I want to be like that so that it doesn't feel incredibly inconsistent, kind of like the jump from Deodato to that one guy in Volume 5 and then back to Deodato. This doesn't feel as inconsistent in terms of art. It feels like a very smooth transition, and I would say the art is very good. I really like the artwork here. The story, if you will recall, when I reviewed Volume 6, I said that felt like a finale to everything that Bruce Jones had been building up to since the beginning of his run. He had this secret organization that was trying to get the Hulk's blood, and Volume 6 basically has that organization destroyed. And I was thinking, I was afraid that the last 2 volumes of Bruce Jones's run were going to be standalone adventures that have nothing to do with that organization, and it's just Hulk off on his own having adventures. Fortunately for me, this volume is not that. This volume still picks up with some of the stuff that was going on in the rest of the run. We are still dealing with the aftermath of the organization kind of dissolving. We have one more agent who is working with that organization that we have to deal with here, and I won't go into who that is, but if you read Volume 6, you may know who it is, and if you're familiar with some of the other stuff that was going on in this run. But this is not as cut and run, let's do something entirely different and unrelated as I thought it would be. It deals with stuff that was going on. I'm not entirely convinced that it deals with those things well. The big antagonist of this volume is not one that I personally really needed to see come back. It's somebody that we did see earlier in this run by Bruce Jones. It's not somebody that I necessarily needed to see again, but I am glad that this is still dealing with the stuff that we had been dealing with in Bruce Jones's run up until now. And I'm very curious if the next volume is going to continue to be more of the same, like dealing with that organization that's trying to get the Hulk's blood. Maybe find out who their leader was, because I still don't know who their leader was as of Volume 7 in an 8-volume run. And I would really like to know who that was. And there was one of the volumes, I think it was Volume 6, where one of the good guys was helping Banner, and then he gets murdered because whoever it is who murders him locks him in a sauna and turns up the heat really high and boils him alive. And we don't know who that was. So I'm hoping that Volume 8 continues this and basically just concludes everything that Bruce Jones has been doing. I am really afraid that Volume 8 is going to be kind of like Volume 5, and it's going to be by Jones, it's going to be pretty good, but it's not going to have anything to do with any of the other stuff that he was dealing with in these other volumes. And I really hope that he continues and concludes everything that he was dealing with in this run, with the exception of Volume 5. I really hope that when I'm done reading this run that I can go back and look at Volume 5 and say that was the weak link. If you remove it, then this run is pretty near flawless. It's not 100% flawless, but it's close. That's all I have to say. I personally enjoyed this book, not nearly as much as I did Volume 6, but I enjoyed it quite a bit, maybe because I had lower expectations. I really wasn't sure I was going to be getting something as good as some of the other volumes in this run, so I was surprised to see that it was pretty good. But not quite as good as Volume 6, but still pretty good. And that's all I have to say, so I hope that I was able to help you guys decide if you wanted to try and track this down or not. And if I did, then I hope you liked this video. If you did, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I will be back tomorrow with another review. So I will see you guys then. Have a great day.